Those pictures that I just showed you at the beginning of this video, those are pictures that are taken in the countries of Denmark, England, Norway, and I think they're very beautiful pictures. Now, in my lifetime, I've not really done any traveling, to be honest. Honestly, I've never been outside of the southern United States. So I've not seen a lot of the world. But when I look at these pictures, these beautiful pictures, in some way that I just can't put my finger on, I have been to these places, I feel. I feel that I have been there. When I look at these pictures, I get this odd sensation that I can't really explain. You see, I believe in reincarnation. I believe in ancestral memory. And if you follow this worldview, which states that, obviously we are our ancestors and they are us, perhaps this can explain why I get that sensation whenever I gaze upon these pictures. I can't help but feel that I have been there before, although it was a distant lifetime, a distant past. I get the feeling that I've stood on the beaches of Denmark and I've gazed over the Kattegat Sea. I get the feeling that I've fished in the Norwegian fjords, that I've tread through German forests, and that I've tilled the English soil. Because after all, this is where my ancestors come from. My ancestors are largely English. My paternal line, going back, came from Denmark. So I feel that I have seen these places before, although I know in my current state that I've never even been to Europe. I hope to travel there someday, but we will see. I feel that one of the biggest problems that our race currently experiences is that we are divorced from this, that we have no concept of ancestral memory. Here in America, going back to our past in Europe, it seemed that it was very easy. It was very easy for a person to recall his lineage back many, many generations. And it was a source of pride for the person who was reciting his lineage to remember the feats and the accomplishments of his direct ancestors and extended family. Here in America, unfortunately, sad to say, there's a lot that many of us just do not know about our ancestors, including myself. I've had to do some research, and I've found out some very interesting things. But it seems like when we came over from Europe, some of this knowledge was unfortunately lost. Not for all families here in the United States, but for some. Sadly, due to modernity, there's many cases where a child perhaps doesn't even know his his father. Perhaps he doesn't know his grandparents. And this is This is a crying shame. It's a fucking tragedy, I think. You know, but anyway. Another, and it's part of the same problem, I guess you could say, is that we are divorced from our roots. You know, I'm very lucky. I've said before in previous videos, I identify more as European than I do American. Although I live in America, I was born here, and the last recent generations of my family were also born here. But I identify more as European, more as Danish, English, than I do as American, because after all, this is where my blood comes from. Although I was born here, I was born elsewhere, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm very lucky though, because I have a good family. I knew my parents. Of course I know my parents. I knew my grandparents, save but one, who died a year before I was born, a couple of years. And I knew my great-grandparents. But you know, I was very lucky too in the fact that I was born here in the country. I was born in northeast Tennessee, the northeast corner, high in the Appalachian Mountains. I was raised in the country. My family, going back, always has been either farmers or laborers. And I was very lucky not to have grown up, to have been born in some large, degenerate city, some metropolitan cesspool. I'm very lucky and very grateful for that, because it shapes who we are. And I'm not so divorced from a way of life that my family has been involved with for generations going back. It's untelling how many generations going back, to be honest. And I think that that's a problem with our race, is that so many are divorced from this natural way of life. They are separated from what made them who they are originally. And this is another tragedy. Sure, I know I don't live, thanks to modernity, I don't live the same lifestyle that my ancestors did. Even going back to my parents, grandparents, certainly my great-grandparents. Hold on a second, there's someone here. Alright, I'm sorry about that. Where was I? But I think that's one of the greatest problems that our race has, is so many of us live in cities and we're divorced from nature. You know, whenever I've just discovered, just in the last, as I said, I've always lived in the country. A couple of years ago we moved down here outside of Chattanooga, and at first we lived in an apartment. And I despised it, to be honest. I truly hated it, in a way, because I wasn't able to go outside. Well, I mean, I could go outside, but I wasn't used to living around so many people. I couldn't... I'll put it this way. If you can't go outside, if you're a man, and take a piss off your back porch or front porch without worrying that someone is going to see you, you're living a little too close to other people. And I'm in that same situation right now. But it's a lot better, because we own a little bit of land here. We have a house, and it's an improvement. You know, these woods back here, we own back to the bottom of the ravine. And although it's not ideal, I'd prefer to live much further away from people. I can tell that I feel a bit more at ease here. Not completely at ease. Not exactly where I want to be, but it's certainly a vast improvement. You know, our race is not meant to live on top of each other. Honestly, I don't think any race of man is supposed to be living in such close quarters with each other as you see in cities, apartments. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be, and I think that's where a lot of problems come from. On my days off, when I'm not having to work, I try to go fishing, I try to go hiking. And I do notice that if I go for more than a few weeks without doing this sort of thing, I can't help but feel more anxiety, more stress. You know, it's a release for me. It's a way to get back to your roots. And although the elites and a lot of different events throughout history has worked very hard. You see academia and the media right now, they're doing everything they can to separate us from our roots. You see it in the media, all these shows coming out that depict heroic ancestors, such as Achilles, all these other historical figures being portrayed by men of African descent. And you know, there's a reason for this. It's to further separate us from our roots. It's just furthering their agenda to divorce us from where we came from. And although, unfortunately, you see many in our race gobbling up this shit, look up the Cheddar Man, one of the latest falsehoods that anthropologists have come up with, depicting the Cheddar Man as a swarthy-skinned fellow, bushy black hair, but with oddly striking light blue eyes. Yeah, that phenotype, I don't imagine it was ever prevalent in Northern Europe and England until just a few years ago with the mass importation of migrants. And although these people who claim that they're English, they're not English. I could claim that I'm American, but I'm truly not American, I'm European. For someone to be truly American, honestly, you'd have to be a Native American. It's just another way that nationalities, the label of a nationality nowadays is just so convoluted and it's watered down, it's pointless in a lot of ways. But I think there is a remedy to this. Although many of us are separated from our roots, we can rediscover them. If you're alive and you have your blood flowing through your veins, you still have a connection to your roots. They may have sliced the trunk of the tree, but it's still connected. Because the blood that flows through your veins is the same blood that flowed through all of your ancestors. And you can rediscover it by researching, by asking questions. You also can rediscover it by getting out in nature. Plant yourself a little garden. Go hunting. Go fishing. Build yourself something beautiful. You do all of these things, it can help you to rediscover your roots. It'll help revive the ancestral memory, and it'll help you rediscover who you truly are. Thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.